Hello, welcome, good morning, and welcome back to my channel for the first time in over a month. I missed all of August. It is now September. We are in my bed. We're having fun. I had a different video planned for today, a way different video. I was going to do a story time on my war stories, and I had sat down and filmed about 70% of a video telling a very specific story about a very specific person in my life. Used to be my life, is no longer in the land of the living. And I got halfway through and I realized that I was just giving way too much of myself away, not to the general viewer. If I could tell all my stories to the general viewer, I would without hesitation. But to the other people who watch my videos, I didn't want to give them that much information on me for free. So instead, I'm sitting here. It is now September. I actually still really want to do a video on my war stories, but instead of focusing on things that I personally went through during the wars that I was a part of, there's actually one story of that I want to tell because, again, it's not so personalized. I don't want to be telling personalized stories that give too much away of me. I want to do some stories about what happened in the lead up to the end of the first war that I was in, because a lot of stuff went down and they're not specific to me, but they were really horrific to see some of them and learn about the others. And they're the kind of things that you wouldn't really think about if you were never in a war, if you'd never been in a war zone, which 99.5% of people watching this video have never done. But that is a video for a completely different day. Today, I want to unpack one specific story of the second war that I was in, because I've touched on it. I bring it up sometimes as like, this is the really horrific thing. It's kind of funny, but also really kind of scarring and traumatic. I'm going to dig deeper into that story as well. Because again, it wasn't actually something to do with me personally and my friends. It was something that I witnessed and it was just really bad. Instead, I'm just going to do what I'm doing now and explain where I've been for the last month, because I've been missing for a good chunk of time now. Well, the hospital got audited, which was fun. And then I had to babysit a head in a box, a literal human head in a box, for about a week. And then I went to Cornwall and got radiation sickness. So that was also very fun. But before I dive into those stories, today, practically speaking, I need to go and get a photo taken for my identity card, because apparently I don't look like myself anymore. Which means, for the very first time on my channel, you are going to see the inside of my car, which is a horror in and of itself. Probably the most horrific thing that you will see on the internet this entire week. And this is a week that included new trailers for the next Conjuring movie and the remake of Wuthering Heights. So there's stiff competition, but I think my car has them beat. That is just me saying that you cannot claim that you were not pre-warned about the horrors which your eyes are about to behold. So, a little outfit of the day for me to go and get my identity card. I'm really hoping to sell the I'm dead inside look while I'm getting my identity card, and I feel like I really nailed it. I have no makeup on. I have not brushed my hair. I've just thrown it up in the worst ponytail known to man. I am not wearing a bra. I am, however, wearing the same t-shirt that I slept in last night, and it goes almost down to my knees, longer than the jumper that I'm wearing, which, by the way, is the cherry on top of the pie. It is the thing that really draws the outfit together, because I'm wearing the jumper that I wore to work yesterday. And so I know for a fact that this jumper has human feces on it. Literal shit. I mean, I wiped it off. It was just a smear. And I wiped it off with a hospital-grade antibacterial wipe, but it still happened. And so I'm thinking to really, just put a little bit of extra pizzazz on the whole outfit, I'm going to put on some of this Hideaway Fairy Floss body custard, because combining shit with sugar is just going to be chef's kiss. So let me know what you think. Hello and welcome to the private tour of my charity of choice, which, just by looking around in the few seconds that you already have, you can probably accurately guess that that choice was based on budget over comfort. A piece of crap 2012 Suzuki Swift, whose hobbies include the engine making a weird mystery noise whenever I turn it on, and the speedometer having a 20 mile per hour margin of error on either side that changes from day to day. But if you ask me, that just keeps driving fun. And I know that the local police sergeant is a big, big fan of that benefit too, because they send me speeding tickets all the time. And then there's also the great feature where the vents like to kick out a funny smell anytime I put the car into reverse. But don't be fooled, the car also has a fair few luxury features, incredible of which is that I never have to worry about anybody stealing my car, because whenever anyone looks in the window, they're just going to think that rodents have taken up permanent residence. And if not rodents, then bacterial fungi. So nobody wants to be stealing my car, which around here is a huge benefit, because in my town, cars have a tendency to magically disappear at about a rate of 1 per hour. And then, the greatest benefit of all, the one that has served me the most, is that when I first purchased it, the CD player wouldn't open, and so the dealer threw in the previous owner's copy of Judy Garland's greatest hits, free of charge. Okay, I have changed out of the fecal jumper, I guess we could say. And I need to say something to close this video off, because or else it's going to be a very short, very random, and very boring video. And so I was planning to start from the start with my August stories So I wake up in Cornwall. Cornwall, England, not Cornwall, Canada, because don't nobody want to be in Cornwall, Canada if they can help it at all. Not that I could actually help being in Cornwall, UK either. Like, I didn't mean to wake up in Cornwall. It just kind of happened, like, against my will. I went to bed in my own bed and then woke up in A's house. So I was stuck there. I had no money and no ID and no nothing to get home, which was fine for the first few days because I was just, again, in his house and he had money and he had all this and he had all that. But when it was time for me to go home, I'm like, well, this was fun. I need to go find my old handlers, because I used to live in England. It was like the 4th country that I lived in when I first got here. So I went and found them. They sorted everything out within like 24 hours. And then I was on a plane home to Australia. I guess it is home. I was very confused by that word for a second, but no, it is home. So I'm there for 6 days, 5 days with A, and then 1 day with my handlers who get me on the plane, and I get to come home. And by the time I get on that plane, I am exhausted. Like, I am tired to my bones, which is very unusual for me because I am one of those people who don't need a lot of sleep to function reasonably well. Like, I can function well enough not to crash a car on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night for a pretty extended period of time, like 2-3 weeks on that amount of sleep. And I'm not going to be happy about it. I don't believe anybody is happy on that little amount of sleep, like, despite what Elon Musk and Margaret Thatcher might say about the situation. But like I said, I can function well enough in society that I don't crash my car. But I get on this plane and I am so exhausted that I end up falling asleep from the moment that we take off to the moment we touch down in Singapore for the 4-hour crossover, which is not like me at all. I don't think I have ever fallen asleep on a plane. This was the first time that I had ever fallen asleep on a plane. And I slept the entire way from England to Singapore and then from Singapore to Australia. So this is not a short flight. This is a long ass flight. And I slept the entire way. So finally we land back in Australia for the final time and I get off the plane and I am still exhausted. I've slept the entire way home and I'm still dead on my feet. But not only that, my skin, my face is so uncomfortable. It feels like I am wearing a mask. And not just any mask, not just any random mask, but the haunted mask from the Goosebumps series that like molds itself to your face and it becomes your face forever. That is what it felt like was on my face. But whatever, right? I just assume that this feeling in my face is just a result. My skin does not like your shitty atmosphere anyway. Like, your air is dirty. And I've been on a plane with recycled air for the last almost 2 days. So I just assume that it's a consequence of that. And even if it wasn't, it didn't really matter. I need to go home. It is still a pretty far journey to my fucking house. And I need to get there because, like it or not, I need to go to work tomorrow come hell or high water. Because that is just a consequence of being one of only 2 doctors in a shitty little town in the middle of nowhere. And Ash, who has been a saint for the last, ever. He's never done anything bad in his entire life, but especially over the last 4 or 5 months, in which, first of all, Nate and I, we went missing for a good chunk of time, like a few months ago, like I've said in the videos on this channel. We were legally on the missing persons list, and Ash had to clean all that mess up and deal with everything himself during that period of time. And now I've disappeared for a week with no notice. And so he's been carrying the load very, very gracefully for all this time. So I needed to come back and relieve him from that. So no matter how bad my face felt and how tired I am, I need to go home, go to sleep, and then get up in the morning and go to work. So I get up in the morning. I've gone home, I've gone to bed, and I've gotten up in the morning, and I look in the mirror, and my skin is on fire. I look like a backup dancer from Michael Jackson's Thriller music video. It is literally peeling away from my bones in strips. It is disgusting. It is red, and it is inflamed, and it is irritated. And it also feels like it's not just like an appearance issue. It also feels like I have got fire ants burrowing under my skin and are crawling around in there. It is horrible. And it's not just my dermis, my facial dermis at this point. My scalp has also decided to join in on the party. But again, I just assume that it's caused by dirty recycled airplane air, because why wouldn't I assume that? Why would I think that I have gotten sick from being around A? I've been around A. I have lived with him on and off for the vast majority of my life, and I have never gotten sick around him. I've never gotten radiation sickness. Other people have gotten sick around him, but I never have. So I had no reason to assume that he was the cause of all of this, which in hindsight, I probably should have, because he is a jerk. So I go to work, and within an hour of me getting there, I am dead on my feet, exhausted, to the point that I have to go and take a nap in one of the spare rooms. And I am not somebody who naps. In fact, I am somebody who, throughout my life, whenever I've taken a nap and woken up, I have felt worse for it. But I had no choice in this instance. It's not even lunchtime yet, and I am not safe to be manning heavy machinery. Not that I was, driving a tractor, but if I can't do that, I assume that I'm not safe to be surgically operating on human beings either. So, the same rules apply in this instance, I feel like. So this goes on for a few more days, and during this time period, the rash on my face has spread all across my body. Like, my body is just one big peeling scab. It's disgusting. And there comes a night, I'm supposed to be working the night shift, but I've been there for half an hour. I'm like, I cannot do this. I need to go home. I am not well. There's something seriously wrong here with me right now. I need to go home. So I left work. Ash agreed to come in because, again, he is a literal saint who has never done anything bad in his entire life. He agreed to come in and work my shift for me overnight, which he doesn't like doing, but whatever. He agreed. Very thankful for that. And I go home and go to bed. And at this point, it's about 9 p.m. And when I wake up, it is now 8:30. And it is still dark outside, which is impossible. It's still dark outside, which is impossible. And if you've ever watched my videos before, you know why this fact sent me into a pure spiral of panic. And it did not help the matter at all. The sirens outside were fucking going crazy. So I'm like, oh my God, the sun has not come up. Kids need to be at school in the next 15 minutes, and the sun is nowhere to be seen. There is not a single UV ray on the horizon. It is pitch black outside. And so I start looking at social media and looking at The Guardian and looking at the Daily Mail, looking for any panic posts. There are none. I Google search the time in my area. Google confirms that it is 8:30. At this point, closer to 9. So it should be even brighter than it is now. If anything, it's getting actively darker. So by this point, I am fully freaking the hell out, because this isn't supposed to happen for another 90 years. And I have been very clear to everyone, I do not want to be here for this. I have no desire to experience this. So I'm freaking out. And the only thing that I can think of to do in this case of extreme fear and panic is to call Drest friggin' Levesque, because who the hell else am I going to call in this circumstance? There's no one else to call but Drest Levesque. So I call him up. I have never called him up in my life, because why would I call Drest Levesque up? There is no logical reason for me to call him up except for this one reason. But unthankfully, in hindsight, he answers the phone and I go, Drest, you need to listen to me very carefully. I know we've had our differences, but we need to get on the same page here because it's happening. And he's like, what the hell? What are you talking about? I'm like, are you at home right now? He goes, yeah. I go, you need to go go look out your window. Go look out your window right now. So he goes and does it. He goes, yeah, what am I looking at? I'm like, it's dark outside. And he goes, yes, it is dark outside. I'm like, are you not listening to me? It's pitch black outside. And he goes, yes. And I'm going, it's pitch black outside. It's 8:30 in the morning and it's pitch black outside. What are we going to do about this? And he goes, well, it's usually dark outside at 8:30 in the middle of winter, because apparently I have been asleep for almost 24 hours straight. So when I've woken up and I've seen on my clock and my phone that it's 8:30, I've assumed that it is 8:30 a.m. because that is the rational conclusion to draw to when you've gone to bed at 9 p.m. the night, like, I guess, yeah, the night before, but at this point, like nearly 2 nights ago. So, like, it was bad. It was a bad situation to be in. And the worst thing of all is that I embarrassed myself in front of Drest Levesque. Not that, I care about embarrassing myself genuinely in front of him, like, if it was just like a interaction. But no, I called him up and invited him to the show. I gave him front row seats to this embarrassing moment in my life. I'm so happy that we got to share it. But because apparently I'm stupid, I still didn't figure out what the hell was happening for another couple of days. So I didn't figure out what the hell was going on until I woke up one morning and there was blood on my pillow because I was bleeding. Okay, I was bleeding from my lips. I was bleeding from my gums. I was bleeding from my ears. I was bleeding from my hairline, like up around here. There was just like tears of blood coming out. And my eyes were bloodshot, like proper bloodshot, like Ebola bloodshot. I looked like I was one of those zombies from 28 Days Later with the rage virus, which was very appropriate because when I figured out what the hell was going on, I was furious. I was fuming. I was so pissed off. But yeah, it was bad. And it made it worse that, I couldn't just call A up and yell at him like I want to do because I don't have a number for him. He just has to. It's not nice. And so, I did what I had to do. I put like an IV in, got hydration. I got everything I needed. I got really strong cortisone cream to fix my skin, which is still not 100% right now, but what can you do about that? It's getting better every single day. I had to go on very strong antibiotics. It was not nice. And I'm still exhausted all the time. Like, it's going to take a while to fix that. Like, I'm so tired right now. As you can see, it's still light outside, but I'm going to go to bed once I finish this video, which is going to be in like 30 seconds because I am ready to go to bed. So yeah, it was really bad situation to be in. I'm happy that I'm getting better and stronger. It's not that I was unstrong. Like, I have a different reaction just because of where I come from to that kind of thing than what you would necessarily have. But it's still, I've never experienced it before and I never want to experience it again. And that is just the way that I'm going to end this video because, like I said, I want to go to bed. But yeah, so that's why a large part of why I was away for August, about 70% of the reason why I was away during August. The other part was, again, going to Cornwall, which I'll explain in a different video. I was going to explain in this one, but I don't have the energy for it right now. And then I also had to babysit ahead. So yeah. But for right now, this is Casey signing off. As always, stay safe out there, stay weird, and stay away from sources of radiation if you like your skin.